Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week I'm going to look at something a bit different. This is art competitions. So I don't know if anybody is interested in art competitions, if they've entered them in the past, thinking about doing so in the future. There are pros and cons. You could do an entire video on the pros and cons of art competitions. I'm not going to do that this week. I'm just going to sort of scratch the surface of this whole thing and look at just briefly look at three specific art competitions and why I think they might be interesting. I'm not recommending them to anybody. I'm not saying you have to go and join this competition or any competition. Some of them do have entry fees. I would do some research before paying anybody money over the internet, but it's just sharing some ideas. Okay, so the first one, this is an art gallery in New York. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Homians or whatever, art gallery. But they are, as far as I can tell, a legitimate art gallery in New York. They do exist, they're real, and they do run this annual biannual, I'm not sure. It seems to be more than once a year, this art competition. But anyway, every year they're running these competitions. The top prize is not massive. It's not life-changing. It's $500 US, which is amazing, wonderful, but you're not going to be buying Ferraris or early retirement. But the thing that they do offer that might interest people is they are a gallery and they do promote the winners of this competition within, their collector space. So that might be of interest to some people. When you're trying to get started as an artist, how does anybody find out about you? How do people discover that you even exist? This might be one way of getting your foot in the door, perhaps. I think they also offer letters of recommendation and things. So again, if you can't get into this gallery, maybe a recommendation from them could help you get into another gallery. There are possibilities. I'll leave a link in the description box below to anybody who's interested. You can find all the details there. The one thing I would say, as with a lot of competitions, this is not free. There is, I think it's a $20 entry fee. But unlike a lot of competitions that have a lot of gatekeeping, this one doesn't seem to have any obstacles to entry. So it doesn't matter how old or young you are. It doesn't matter where you live or where you come from, what media you use, what subject matter. They're open to all possible forms of art and all artists. And that's quite rare in the world of art, and very rare in the world of art competitions, which, as I say, excel in their gatekeeping. They have often lots and lots of restrictions. As I say, it seems to be a competition that's run more than once a year. So you may see at the bottom there that the closing date was January 31st, 2025. That's history, that's gone. But as I said, there may be other opportunities later this year or even next year. So it's worth looking into if that's the sort of thing that you're interested in. The second one is very, very different. This is a competition run by an organization known as the Royal Drawing School in London, in England. Again, it's as far as I can tell, it's legitimate. It's a real organization. It is pretty much central London. And the reason this is interesting is it's not a cash prize as such. Most of these competitions offer some sort of cash prize, or maybe they offer some art materials or gift coupons, gift cards, whatever, for different art suppliers. This one's different. This is a full scholarship for 1 year study at this Royal Drawing School. It's a postgraduate level course, and it covers all of the fees. So all of your classes, it includes, you get your own studio space, all the field trips, everything is all included. The one thing it isn't is your living expenses. So you're going to have to find yourself somewhere to live in London, and you have to support yourself for a year, or at least a year. London is a very expensive place to live, and if you're not working full time, I don't know, good luck. But if you can overcome all of those obstacles, it does seem like a very good, very interesting opportunity for somebody who's interested in devoting an entire year of their life to just drawing, studying drawing. If you go to Google Maps and you type in the Royal Drawing School London, you can see where it is, of course, from the street front, but also you can go inside the building and look around their gallery spaces and things and the studio spaces. So it's quite interesting. It is a real place, and this just seems to be a real opportunity for some people. But as I say, there are obstacles in terms of being able to support yourself for a year, and also, although it's open to anybody, there's no restrictions on nationality, you would need a visa. I'm not an immigration lawyer. I have no idea how easy or difficult it is to get a visa to live in the UK for a year, but that's another obstacle that would have to be overcome. The last one, again, very different. This one, the top prize is nothing amazing. It's not huge sums of money or anything like that. What makes this one interesting is the subject matter, I think. So this is trying to encourage relationships and connections between artists and mathematicians and scientists, especially physicists. And those are areas that often don't get much overlap. So that idea alone is interesting to me. This is part of a kind of sub-department, I guess, of the Department of Mathematics at Cambridge University in England. And they're trying, the goal of the competition, well, as you can see on the screen, to showcase the interplay of mathematics, in particular probability theory, and art in the modern world. Explore the different ways in which artists and mathematicians approach mathematical concepts, find ways to communicate research in mathematics to as wide an audience as possible, and to inspire new generations towards mathematical education and training, and also potentially spark collaborations between mathematicians and artists. So this competition interests me because, well, first of all, the idea of mathematics and science and art, they're quite separate, and there isn't a huge overlap between them. So anything that does try and bring these different ways of thinking together is interesting. But it's not just a competition. There might possibly be an opportunity in the future for collaboration between the artist who wins the competition and mathematicians or scientists for some sort of future collaboration, because they are interested in trying to get the mathematical research, which can often be very abstract and difficult for most of us to even grasp what they're talking about. How do you make that more accessible to ordinary people? That is an interesting idea. So I say, if you're interested in those sort of ideas, this might be something worth looking at. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there are interesting art competitions out there. There are competitions that might potentially have life-changing implications for the person who wins the competition. Going and studying drawing for a year in London would be amazing. I think for most people that would be an amazing experience. There are practical obstacles to overcome. Not everybody can just drop everything and go off to London for a year. How do you support yourself, etc., etc.? What about visas? But if you really wanted to do it, I guess there's always a way of trying to figure these things out. This sort of idea of working with mathematicians, trying to make their research more accessible to people, again, very interesting. So there are interesting competitions out there. It's worth doing a bit of research, picking something that interests you, and maybe enter the competition. Of the three that I've sort of highlighted, the one that interests me most is this one, the mathematics and science one. I might have a go at this. I think the closing date for this is April or March. Again, I'll put a description I'll put a link in the description box below. Click on that, gives you more information. This one's also interesting in that, unlike the other two, there's no entry fee for this one, which is always a good thing. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully see you again in next week's video.